And
outside on the corner where I caught the bus, thinking in my head it's colder than I thought it was. Sometimes life is like that, and you just quiver your lips, whisper a wish, hoping someone might give us deliverance. Now deliver this message, think I could live with this message. You could just give a few seconds to come and sit in my presence. And yes, it is so precious, yes, it is a blessing. Next, I'll attempt to express it with every heavy breath, cause just to make it worth it, and just to make it real, you always made it perfect, and that's the way I feel. Sometimes we think too much, and we lose control, but it's not what you know, no, it's who you know. Days that will not end, I'm sure you've had them too, wishing you're still in bed, and yet we have to move. This is what passion do, this is what passion does. It's on my planets too, so sending back the love. Snowflakes fell like a gift from the skies, and teardrops swelled when I lifted my eyes. And it was surely just brightness that had informed in me, while the storm in the streets was adorned in the trees, and it clothed each branch with a layer of the purest snow. And this miracle was a little less than a year ago. Now summer's almost over, the weather's growing colder, approaching frozen soldiers, a Minnesota soldier. Backpack on my shoulder, days are shorter, I spend most alone. Still growing older, feeling lonesome though I'm close to home. I'm the city bus station, both are closing on the open road. My soul is swollen though I'm holding on, and so it goes. And sometimes when it's dark, I look up at the stars, think about how small we are, but at least we have hearts. Getting past my speeding cars on these streets of ours, I want to be the cause for someone's grief to pause. Cause just to make it worth it, and just to make it real, you always made it perfect, and that's the way I feel. Sometimes we think too much, and we lose control, but it's not what you know, no, it's who you know. Days that will not end, I'm sure you've had them too, wishing you're still in bed, and yet we have to move. This is what passion do, this is what passion does. It's on my planets too, so sending back the love. I can't even get emotional, cause even though this road is negotiable, this is a road that chose going solo, feeling so low, and don't know the things I'm supposed to know. But so I know some brothers that are rolling in the same road with the same goal, and this ain't focus. So just focus, and you're gonna quit. It's a long way to go, I'ma need you to go with. I got the back of the shirt takes time, no matter what it is, yes sir, that's right. Even when you act like a dirtbag guy, admit never vocal, sure, that's why I keep no accounts of stars, keep holding out for y'all. People that's all we are, you know I'm down by law. Cause just to make it work, and just to make it real, you always made it perfect, and that's the way I feel. Sometimes we think too much, and we lose control, but it's not what you know, no, it's who you know. Days that will not end, I'm sure you've had them too, wishing you're still in bed, and yet we have to move. This is what passion do, this is what passion does. It's on my planets too, so I'm sending back the love. Cause just to make it worth it, and just to make it real, you always made it perfect, and that's the way you feel. Sometimes we think too much, and we lose control, so it's all this for all of the fools we know.
hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is me, Dukect. Hopefully, you having a great Monday evening. I took a break. I did release the Ring of Honor episode. Um, with BLV on TalkShoe.com. But I was not feeling well Monday, and I'm still not 100%. And I don't have the Rona. It's just a swollen finger that went a little bit awry, but I am here. No worries. I'm good. I'm good. Uh, you know, I am here. Don't worry. I am still going to be doing the show, and hopefully, people will be joining, talking, and all that good stuff. Anyway, let's get to our story is and talking about the one thing I liked about our talk with LV was Ring of Honor's mismanagement. And you want to talk about mismanagement? Well, let's get into Square Enix. Let me just share this stuff here. Boopity boop. And there we are. Here it is. Square Enix, after this renders disappointing results, forces Square Enix to revive live service plans and focus on each studio's strength is right here. Where I see is yeah, it said let's see. While the new challenge that we tackle with this title produce a different disappointing outcome, we are concerned that the games as a live service, games as a service will grow in importance as gaming becomes more service and service oriented and such. And it goes on. It says, you see, the president goes on to says that Square Enix will do a better job matching its developers up with game models and genres they're best at. So here it is. The quote is like, I will note that Marvel's Adventure was a ambitious title for us that we took as a game as service, from a game as service model. We overcame a very unexpected difficulty in the final phase of game development, including needing to transition to work from home due to the pandemic. We were able to surmount these challenges release again, but but it has unfortunately not proven as successful as we have liked. And pretty much a lot of this, the statement here is pretty much that they don't see Crystal Dynamics as as this whole thing. And I'm like, well, of course, Crystal Dynamics made those Tomb Raider games, did really good work with that franchise. But this Avengers thing, the game of service, I honestly think that is. I don't know about you, but I don't think it's just the game of service thing. Really, just just doesn't work. I think it's a flash in the pan. Personally, I wish the industry for the longest time has tried to kill, really tried to kill, single player games. But this is it is what it is. But Square Enix again, talking like, oh well, Crystal Dynamics, they weren't the high management. They weren't the right development type. I think the one issue here is that Square Enix, honestly, I honestly we didn't they had multiple developers here. Let me just see which developers. Let's see. Let me look at this. Um, the main developers, let's see, was Crystal Dynamics, Square, and I mean, yeah, it was not doing good. In fact, a couple of months ago, I mean, this is not done. In fact, they had to, introduce an XP boost. Pretty much, like, yeah, you want to get through this muscle, just buy XP. More experience points for a short period of time, allow them to level up faster. Of course, and they went back on their promise that the game would not feature microtransactions, only for cosmetics. That's it. And now they came back with this word, which is again this lies, and not keeping up with their word. This is a problem with with this these type of games that they continue to lie, and no one really goes out and looks for the stuff, and it continues to lie. Um, a story that just doesn't really work for the Avengers. It just seems they start off with this. Honestly, I mean, for what the Avengers and everything else, disassembling and reassembling them, I just think that was a bad idea for the first game. I honestly think I would like to see the Avengers be, actually being the Avengers, actually dealing with threats and staying together instead of just being broken apart. Say that stuff for the second game. That's what I feel. But that's one of the main issues with these with the Avengers. What's the main issues with this whole thing is that again, Square Enix goes back to this piss poor management. They put I mean, if there were a company with just decent, I mean, they have some man. I mean, I would say Square Enix doesn't have piss poor management. Someone would say, oh, that this. I mean, they have examples of piss poor management. The entire launch of Final Fantasy 14, that was piss poor management, and they had to spend millions and millions of dollars and have the developers publicly apologize. Heck, I think and they say, "Well, it fixed it." I mean, you know, I will say this: that the Final Fantasy 14 dev team worked at these issues and everything. They made the game great. Same as No Man's Sky, they did a rebounding. They really, really, really did some good stuff. They really built it up. But everyone in the video game is trying to do this type of that Hail Mary thing. Well, our game's crap, but we'll just take it down for a couple months, or rejig it or whatever, and then we'll have a Final Fantasy 14, or we'll have a No Man's Sky. No. How about actually sit down and actually do the game right? I understand COVID, that hurt development. But I don't think it hurt development that bad for a very lackluster story, or just supposedly controls that don't people don't really like the controls of the game. And it feels like they feel like it's not really a complete Avengers game with most of the members missing. And by the way, what happened to Spider-Man? That whole thing is actually still happening, because I don't see Spider-Man anywhere near this game. I bet he just said, "Yeah, that was it," and rolled out. Spidey rolled out from this, and I think he did the best he did, the smart thing. It was the smartest thing he did. That's the smartest thing he did, and not, and Sony not really doing anything with it. And again, if the game was not that, if like I said, if Crystal Dynamics having issues, then delay the game again. Delay it to see if it actually fits up to your code. Hell, Nintendo did that with Metroid Prime 4. They didn't see the game was living up to its standards, and they said, "You know what? You're gonna take a hit, but yeah, we are going to get the game much later, but at least it'll be up to a quality, a standard." Here, they just games these days. They fit developer teams with just this games as service saying, "Okay, make a game out of this." It doesn't work out, or just like they rush it or whatever. They get crunch and such, and it's like, you know, maybe you shouldn't have put this thing in position. And now they're just like, "Oh, we've seen the light," even though most people see this coming. I saw this coming a long while when I was like, well, hey, they took a long time being quiet. And then when I first saw, I was like, this does not look good. And then, like I said, the microtransactions. Then you had the whole IP doxing thing for the PS4. That was a complete debacle. And that's what you have, a completely terrible, terrible game. And you just look and say, well, maybe they'll fix it. No, they won't. Even they have to fix it, they're not going to fix it. And when they do fix it, it's going to be like, oh, we everything's okay now. No, it's way too late. It's too late, ladies and gentlemen. Far, far, far too late. And I wish that games, video games, and one thing I really miss for the most part is that game's complete. I mean, Metroid Dread, it gets recently got updated. It's complete. It's 100% complete. Have little to no issues with it. Everything else, some games, I don't see that. I don't see the games being complete. What happened to go sitting there and actually having video games being complete and actually doing these things? Instead, well, we get the stuff like that. Stuff like Marvel's Avengers. We get these things, and I mean, it's just it's messed up, you know. And I think right here, this Forbes article, um, right here, yeah, it's just right here. I think this article from Paul Tossi from Forbes put it right there, and it's harsh. But again, I mean, it's like, oh, we can blame all this other stuff. I'm like, no, it's just, you know, let's hold on. Like, I think Zahir says, I think we have to consider the past Square Enix expectations of games, particularly Western games that seem to hold a kind of absurdly high standard. We all remember when Crystal Dynamics was previously criticized back when Tomb Raider reviewed well and sold millions of copies, but Square Enix still said it underperformed. This year, we have also seen public disagreements between People Can Fly and Square Enix about the decision to launch Outriders on Xbox Game Pass, which has seemed to produce fewer sales that either would have liked. And this is about the third or fourth time we've heard them reference Avengers negatively. Keep in mind, Avengers is not a shuttered game like Anthem. It's still consistently producing content. It just released a major expansion, and is about to debut a new raid and the Sony exclusive Spider-Man hero. It's also confirmed content is being made for 2022. Granted, those comments seem to have been issued earlier in the year, but almost makes it worse, not better. He says, I think Avengers deserves some credit here. It was an attractive enough project to secure a year-long deal with Sony, and also got checks from Sony and Microsoft to be offered in PS Now and Xbox Game Pass. And it's in the top-selling games in the past year. The only non-sequel, non-remake on the list. Impressive for a new IP. It feels like Square Enix was literally expecting Destiny Avengers here for the game to perform at a level that even no game has ever come close to touching Destiny in that space. Or to figure with the Avengers game to get them Avengers box office like success in the video game market. All those expectations are pretty unreasonable. So what's going on? If Avengers is such a big disappointment, why is it still producing content? What have I heard that Crystal Dynamics may have found a relative gold mine by doing MCU-based skins in the game, which are reportedly selling very well as microtransactions. We've seen the pace of those pickups, those pick up the past 3 months, and maybe possible those allow for future content to be greenlit. My point is, Avengers has its problems, and yeah, I don't think it deserves to be more than flamed as a constantly told by its own publisher like this. If I were Crystal Dynamics, given that this is at least their second game this has happened with, I might consider other options or other console making megacorps that are currently buying up talented developers, which is true. Because this whole petty backwards, the whole backbiting and blaming people, which still is Avengers for all it was, still so recently well, and they're still doing pretty well this stuff. So you look at it, and again, it just seems to be like very piss poor management of Square Enix, and I think that's the main issue of this is management, and it does, and I hope that's at least that Square Enix management and all this stuff is a lot better than Ring of Honor because Ring of Honor is dead at this point, and Square Enix is still kicking despite itself, but my point still stands that you need to have a good management structure and don't blame developers and such if they need to be blamed. Fine, do it behind the scenes. Don't talk to like this in a public atmosphere and just have everyone blame them. They highlight the positives. Highlight these things. It's pretty sad that someone like myself can see that, but yet these businesses are just saying we need to just throw other people under the bus. If they act like this really there's this very toxic relationship. Even if they do well, they still get blamed. I don't know, just it's messed up. And speaking of messed up, WWE released more talent this past week. So I'm going to talk about that and the more releases that will still be happening. But let's take a small little musical break. We'll be right back here live on the Dukect Lounge. Thank you so much for joining me, Dukect. We'll be right back right after this. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me, Dukect, here live on my second YouTube channel. But worry, Metroid Drive will be on the main one. Even though I'm not 100%, I'm going to hopefully finish that one up. It looks like I'm pretty much, I'm going to be done. Hopefully, I'm going to start working on it more tonight. I'm like 45% done. I'm going to hopefully, I will have most of it done tomorrow, and I will hopefully, try to get out tomorrow or Wednesday. Just, yeah, it's just going to be hopefully my injury, my finger, which somehow, got messed up. I hope it will start getting better soon. It looks like it is. Some parts looks like it's not. So this is just going to be a bit of a sticky time. I just hope everything works out soon. That's the hope. And Well, anyway, let's get into the main stuff. Wow. Well, let's see. Keith Lee, ladies and gentlemen, was one of the main releases of its W releases because a lot of them with this. You had Karrion Cross, Ember Moon, Keith Lee, like I said, Keith Lee, Karrion Cross, Ember Moon, May Yim, Grand Metal League, Nia Jax, Liz Dorado, Jet Rima, Katrina Cortez, Trey Baxter, Zadina Rima, Orny Lorkin, B Fab, Jesse Camille, Frankie Monet, Eva Marie, and Scarlett Bordeaux. Yeah, they were gone. And it's surprising, but not really because WWE has to trim the excess wrestlers, trim the fat as it were. But honestly, when you have record profits, a lot of people will say, "Hey, why don't you support these people?" And even worse, you look at this. Keith Lee talks about he had to pay for his own medical bills after his own right here is that right here. So quote, his birthday today, by the way. It says greetings and salutation. Today is my birthday. It is not a happy birthday, but it is one I am most grateful for. Several months ago, it was not a guarantee I would not make it. I would make it to this day. So there is a positivity in that. I paid all my medical bills from the many offices and machines I frequented. There's a positivity in that. And I do find it amusing that people believe anyone but me paid for my medical expenses. I was going away a couple weeks, but I think it's time to look towards the future. Forward march, as I like to say. I am capable of so much more, and I can't wait to see what it looks like properly. I have a wide array of interests and abilities. I also consider myself to be rather open minded. Here's to a future that, for all intents and purposes, seems limitless. The main thing here I'm looking at is that he had to pay for his medical bills. And wait, I would say WE actually makes them out. They'll pay for injuries and everything. They caught the medical stuff with Keith Lee. Um, you know, he was he had like a health scare with let me see if I can get the right here. He was thought that he was going to be his career was over because of this. Let me just change this stuff up here. I'll move up and boom. He's out here. It says Ryan saying out of character scope. I wasn't feeling bad originally. There were things going on that I didn't really understand, but I just took them as potential. The problem is with COVID is no one really knows what's going on. It's a trial and error situation, and everyone experiences different things, and sometimes the after effects hit people differently. COVID hits people differently, and for some people, it doesn't really hit at all. In my case, I assumed I would be fine. I tested positive, give me a couple weeks, and I'll be back to what we got to do. I came back after 3 weeks, had to match with Riddle, and the next day I got a call saying there was something odd in my blood, which gave the idea that there was inflammation and led to multiple MRIs and really uncomfortable machines that jammed up in my shoulder. At the same time, I felt things were odd, but I didn't understand them to be that. I just assumed because other people were having different scenarios that were post COVID that maybe it was going to take me a little longer to get back to normal, right? I didn't feel abnormal, but there were small things that felt odd. One MRI passed, and it was give it a week or two, and we'll do another. Second one was worse, and that's what led to we need you to not work out and not do anything until we figure this out. Then it became very uncomfortable because I knew what the potential endgame could be. I wasn't telling my family, I wasn't telling Mia because it's something that's not in our control. It's something I didn't want to stress about. It was personal about that. I just tried to be calm on for the most part. I stayed quiet regardless. For the just absurd amount of messages. I'm not sure what it is about people thinking that they're the man should be mad and knowing what's going on in my personal life. I'm generally a pretty private person. It took me a long time to get curious to what was going on because it was my own personal fight. I wanted to fight. There was nothing more important than fighting it. To this day, I still have friends over a year later suffering from the effects that are post-COVID. We continue by saying, at the end of the day, I'm just grateful that I was able to come back and be put back in the ring because that fourth or fifth MRI where I had to go to Pittsburgh, I was resigned to the fact my career was done. I was ready to be like, okay, I guess it's time to do other projects that I've been interested in. Then I got some good news. It took a lot of work to come back because being a 300, 340-pound athlete, the amount of training and power and explosives to take a big man to do backflips, 5 months out of it, then coming back out of nowhere, 5 weeks of just dying, trying to come back. It was like, oh God, how have I not trained the thing? And then come back and just try to call everything, get back to normal. And no, I didn't know what it was anymore. So it's very strange. Now I can get back and have high intensity workouts. So it was nice to feel like, okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm about to where I feel I should be. And I still feel like there's work to be done. The grind continues and I will keep grinding. This was again on the character was like a couple months ago. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, actually, several weeks ago. And with this, I mean, you think that when you hear someone like almost die, you see that WWE would like have this, you would think they would actually pay for his stuff, but no. Um, and that's just what the hell. And you would think that Vince says he sees greatness in Lee. You think he couldn't spend a little bit of money to get this man alive? But no, he let he let let him pay for his own stuff, which probably hurt his wallet a bit. Not a bit, probably a lot. And I look at that and it just really bothers me in this country. I know I'm probably getting political, but I don't care. I mean, I'm going some health stuff right now. Like I said, not feeling well. My finger is a little bit jammed up. Somehow my finger got affected. Don't worry, everything will be fine. You know, medication and all this stuff. But there's a lot of people in my position who probably do have the same issue, and they can't go to a doctor. They can't go to a get medication or go to specialists or anything else. You know, they barely have like say Medicare or someone like has that Health Cross and or your Blue Shield or all the other like medical stuff that ensures that might help, but even then it's tied to your employment. And even if you're tied to your employment, you're like, you go try to go to these hospitals, like, oh, you might not carry that. Oh, you have to go picking and choose, do all this type of stuff. And you look at this, all the stuff here in this country, you would say, hey, maybe we should have a better health system. Then maybe we should look at, say, a Medicare for all or something so that people don't have to pay so much out of pocket, try to pay so much out of the, they don't like, they don't make, I mean, wrestlers, the WE, I mean, they don't make a ton of money. And going to the health, the health, uh, maintaining your health and going to the doctor and everything costs a lot of money. And I don't know what the solution to like a real political. I mean, I would like to say Medicare for all, but then again, there might be issues with it. Or saying wait lines and all these other things that people say like, oh, we're gonna have wait lines. It's gonna be like this and that. Yeah, I'm like, okay, then why don't we try to fix it? Because the system we have right now is not working. The system we have now is not working. So what is your plan? And the answer is just, well, quiet. They don't know. Are cutting more taxes or going after this. Like, no, I want to hear your plan. We cut taxes and we're still in this position. You know? That's just, I look at that. I think it's frustrating. And it's just embarrassing that people have to, spend out of pocket to get maybe decent health care, or if they can't find it, they have to pay out of pocket to get these machines and everything. And I'm happy Keith Lee is back to being 100%. Maybe after the 90 days, he might go to the AEW or, you know, Impact or New Japan or wherever. Wherever he goes, I expect I hope he has the best run of his goddamn life, and I believe that he will have the best run in his goddamn life. But yeah, this stuff here is it's BS. I hear. Look, you know, this should not be right here. This should not be, the main thing. You shouldn't have paid for his stuff. Someone should have covered it. And it's just it's sad that even if you try to talk about it, you add a label like, socialist, or you want to kill people, or what. I'm like, no, I want to give people healthcare to actually fix the problem. And if we do try to find something like these other countries, why don't we make it better? Why don't we say, okay, how are we going to wait lines? Because people are sick. People hide their, people wait and wait and wait to basically say, I can't go to the doctor because it might bankrupt me. Even if I be preventative care, it will bankrupt me or something like that. I can't afford to do this type of stuff. And even then, you do get the insurance. The insurance might not even pay for your surgery or your family surgery or whatever. They won't be able to pay for it. All the medications. So, what what are you going to tell? What is your plan to fix these issues? What is y'all plan? I want to hear it. But I am not really surprised the WE wouldn't do this, because it's just like they're just a miserly company that cuts more people. And by the way, the releases, more WE releases will be coming because they don't have a real, way of building up talent, or they just hoard talent, not build up talent. I mean, when Roman's gone, who's the next guy? Dominic? He's fine, but I don't see I don't see that type of stuff. That's why they have a lot of old people. So they love the old guys. That's why they don't have many stars. That's why WE doesn't have any stars, because they keep releasing talent. They keep releasing these talents and not building them up. They don't build up talent. And until they start building up talent in a serious fashion and actually start making things, people can be like, okay, this guy can go, this guy can be someone we can finally do something with. I mean, you could say Braun Breaker, but I mean, okay, all right, okay. But yeah, I'm just like, they need to do things that actually make people want to go there and stay there, or and be don't release these people and just like say, okay, well, it's best in your future endeavors, instead of actually doing something to actually build up the star, make them stars, make them important. NXT can only do so much. That was back in the day. NXT, they didn't do anything much with this NXT. They didn't. They didn't. They destroyed it, and now WE is just like, well, we don't. Raw and SmackDown. Make Raw and SmackDown better. Cut Raw down for 2 hours and make SmackDown other than the Roman Reigns show. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, that's it for the show. Thanks so much for joining me. Dukect Lounge will be back next week, Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for being here. This is Dukect. Peace and love. I'll see y'all when I see y'all later.